She perused the section of chalk colors for a brief moment before picking up a pristine white piece. Oh, she wrote down whose eyes are those eyes. Okay. Did he make them forget about Mia, dude? Oh no, dude, he makes me hate him even more every time I see him show up. Don't you dare talk about Bond. Don't you dare even say his name. I can't believe you would defame him like this, you freaking... dude, I want to strangle him with my own hands. I want to stick my 3D hand into the 2D world and freaking choke him out, dude. How's it going, everybody? HoodlaMutt here, back with some more Chaos Head Noah. And, last time, we finished the Nanami route, and that's all I'm gonna say on that. We finished the Nanami route. I don't want to talk about it. You want to know what happened? You go watch that episode, okay? Because I don't want to think about it anymore. Because today, we're starting the Yua route, baby. The route we always wanted, baby. Oh, man, I'm so excited. I'm so excited, dude. Oh, man, I've been waiting for this. But we got through all the sucky stuff. Now we get to have fun. Now it gets to be cute and wholesome and awesome. Right, game? Correct, game? Anyway, so we're gonna start a new game, and we're gonna have to speed through a bunch of stuff again to get to a particular decision or delusion in chapter 1. I will have to answer it a certain way, and then I'll get some prompts to say yes or no to. And like the same with Nanami's, we will be getting some Yua intermissions that will be unskippable, so I'll be trying to read those. So this is going to take a while probably to speed through a lot of that, so we'll just have to cut around a lot of that. But I did want to say, all right, I will say one thing about last episode. One thing that that came to my mind since considering it is it makes me think that, like, it's interesting that they actually showed the stuff that they showed, because even though it wasn't like they didn't actually show any like CGs that were like really, you know what I mean, trying to be discreet, but the fact of what they were displaying on screen, it's like I feel like in the same way as the guy who wrote Oedipus, right? It's the Oedipus complex. It's that the writer and us know that this is a bad thing, right? That it's like you shouldn't have this kind of a desire, but showing the character actually pursuing the desire and then going through with it is one, it's there for emotional, like, kind of shock value, whatever you want to say. It's to get an emotional response, but I think it's also to provoke people to thinking about it like critically, you know what I mean? Thinking about, and by it, I don't mean just the act, I mean more like thinking about the consequences of seeking out such wrong or evil desires without, you know, thinking of the consequences. I think that's what they're trying to get across, is that they want you to think about the ramifications of what it'll do to you and to the other people around you. I felt like that was kind of like what they were going for. That's what came to my mind. It started making me think, I'm like, oh yeah, Oedipus was kind of like a cautionary tale. So Nanami's route also felt, in a way, like a subtle cautionary tale. You know, they're not shoving it like right in your face saying, this is bad. It's like, we know it's bad, but we're still showing it to you anyway because we know you know it's bad too, but we're trying to instead give it to you and then say, like, underneath, like, here's the subtext of what we're trying to say, you know, here's the actual message. So I have a feeling that's what they were going for. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong, and I could just be like friggin' I can't think of the word, compensating or whatever. But regardless, that's it. I'm done talking about it. I said it before, but now I'm done talking about it because now it's time for you, a baby. So without further ado, let's just get right into this, shall we? And I stayed neutral on this one, I know. Oh, wait, I felt bad. Okay, whoops, that was it. Okay, so I accidentally clicked one forward, so I'll have to add it in post. But this is the decision that we have to stay neutral on. So that's what we're going to do. So here we go. I felt bad about turning Miss Mikun down, since he seemed so excited about it. But I really did not want to go. But even though I was trying my hardest to refuse, he just wasn't listening. Maybe we'll even see the murderer. They say the criminal always returns to the scene of the crime, right? Maybe she'd pick you as her next victim. To atone for your sins, you must die. You know, that kind of thing. As for your sins, though, being a shut-in. Okay, so I believe I chose neutral for this before, so I think I'm just gonna skip through this and then wait for it to give me the yes or no's on it. Oh yeah, I think it's because it's this right here. The yes or no's come up. Right. Okay. I don't know what I chose before though. I think I just did all yeses. I think I had to do all yeses. I can't remember. Did I? I don't remember. But anyway, this time I have a particular dilemma I have to go through. So I know I did all this. So we'll just we'll start here. So it's just a coincidence. It says to say no, it's not just a coincidence. I'm making it up. It's all in my head. No. We're supposed to say. The new gen killer is somewhere in this school. Yes. Whoever wrote this is trying to provoke me. Yes. Basically all the based options. I should definitely erase it. And the last one is yes. Okay, that should set us on to the... Yep, there it is, baby. Discover Yua's story. Okay. Okay, you recognize it, right? That's what it said. Okay, so now we just gotta wait for the Yua intermissions that I can't skip. So here we go. Oh, wait, I guess I can't skip this either, so we'll read this. Come on, what's the matter? Miss Mikun walked up to me, grabbed my shoulder, and gave me a good shake. Are you even listening? Hello? Taku? It must have just been a common phrase. Or something. In other words, it was just a stupid, pointless scribble. I tried to tell myself that, but I still couldn't calm down. So, in the end, I just went up and erased it, moving quickly so that nobody would notice. Alright. So we should be able to just skip right along past that then, yeah? Yeah, there we go. Okay, alright, here's the first one. It stopped us. So interesting. This is similar to where Nanami was at, too. So I wonder if you was gonna run into Themi or not. Okay. Shibuya Station was a much different place in the early morning than it was later in the day. Young people were scarce, and countless businessmen, following a jarring ride on the crowded trains, rushed out of the station and scattered every which way into Shibuya. It was a place marked by indolence, yet engulfed by an air of restlessness. The students of Suimei Academy carried that with them as well. However, the number of them present was rather sparse. Shibuya Station was about 20 minutes away from Suimei by foot, and on top of that, part of the route was an uphill trek via Dogenzaka. Most Suimei students taking the train would depart at the stop nearest to the academy, Shinsen Station. Kusunoki Yua, meanwhile, took on the unnecessary task of walking from Shibuya Station. Waking up early for this did not cause any headaches for her. The heart of Shibuya was often suffocatingly crowded, but as soon as one began to climb up Dogenzaka, the number of pedestrians dropped sharply. Taking the extra time to walk and breathe in the refreshing morning air was something Yua quite enjoyed. Interesting. Part of the reason why she chose to walk from Shibuya Station was to see the news displayed on the Jumbotrons above Scramble Crossing. Oh, is this going to be where she figures out about the new gen case and then is like, is that where she gets on our case about trying to... Yeah, this is probably where she's like, oh, they saw Takumi, right? And then she's going to be like, oh, it's Takumi, he's the killer, and I'm going to have to find him and whatever, right? I have a feeling that's what this is showing. As she waited for the pedestrian signal to change, Yua peered up at O-Front's Jumbotron, just as she always did. And upon doing so, she gasped in shock. The captions running across the screen before her had taken her breath away. The headline read, "Third New Gen Incident." A certain boy's face rocketed to the forefront of her mind. A boy whom she did not know nor had spoken with. But it was a face she had seen the previous morning at school. Though for Yua, that was evidence enough to convince her that he was the true culprit behind New Gen. Yep, okay. Interesting. Yua could recall the events of the previous morning vividly. 7 a.m., Suime Private Academy. Yua marched quickly through the empty halls. It seemed that no others had arrived yet. Her expression rigid, she gazed straight ahead without faltering. Without a hint of restraint in her stride, Yua advanced onward, stopping only once she arrived at a certain classroom. The sign which framed a room number read 2C. Following a quick gaze to confirm her destination, Yua slid the door open without hesitation. 2C was not her homeroom. As a third year, she should have had no reason to even set foot in there. Absolutely no reason at all. That was how it would be under normal circumstances, at least. But right then, she had a specific goal in mind. After methodically scanning the empty classroom, Yua approached the blackboard. She perused the section of chalk colors for a brief moment, before picking up a pristine white piece. Oh, she wrote down whose eyes are those eyes. Okay. Has she been the one writing it down this whole time, or have some of them actually been delusions? Interesting. Then, using intentionally poor handwriting, she wrote a single sentence on the blackboard. Yep. Whose eyes are those eyes? She whispered the words to herself after writing them. Gently placing the chalk back down, she surveyed the room once more. I wonder how you're going to react. Her whispers continued, for nobody to hear but herself. Maybe you won't be fazed. Or maybe it'll surprise you, and then maybe you'll try to erase it in a hurry. If you do that... In the silence of the empty classroom, her intimidating voice echoed. I'll have evidence that you're the killer. I'll be hiding, watching your each and every move. You don't know my face, but I know yours. I know it. I know your face. I've seen it, and I'll be watching. I do wonder, though, what will be going through your head when you see the blackboard? I suppose I'll just have to see. Right, Nishijo Takumi-kun? Interesting. Yua forcefully bit her lip. After she had finished her task, Yua had made her way up to the roof to kill time until the students of 2C finally arrived. Then, 10 minutes before the bell rang, Yua returned to the hallway. Peering in through the door, she kept an eye out for anyone who might react to her inscription of Whose eyes are those eyes? And, just as she had predicted, a certain panicked schoolboy was the one to erase the words. One look at his face, and she could tell exactly who it was. Nishijo Takami.
I'm sure of it now. I know it's you. It has to be you. It can only be you.
She muttered those words to herself, only for them to be drowned out by a speaker mimicking the sound of pigeons cooing. The pedestrian signal at the scramble had changed colors. The massive wave of pedestrians collectively ceased their standstill and began moving once more. However, Yua remained where she was, paying no heed to the possibility that she may be in the way of those trying to cross. She simply stood in place, focusing all her attention on the subtitles that appeared up on the Jumbotron. Huh, okay, alright. So now we know that she did that. I wonder how much else she messed with that Takami thought was an attack that actually wasn't at the time. Interesting. Alright, here we go. Oh, okay, here we are. Here's another one. Alright. Kusunoki Yua was born with a twin sister. Oh, no. However, she had died 1 month ago. It had been ruled a suicide. The two were like a pair of couple necklaces, incomplete without one another. Their bond simply was not comparable to that of ordinary sisters. The shock of her death left Yua feeling as if she were only half of the person she once was. That was how much she adored her twin sister. When she heard the news, an endless waterfall of tears sprang forth from her eyes. She collapsed onto her sister's bed, desperately searching for the girl who had been living there until only yesterday. Why did she have to die? Yua searched for any answer at all, but found none. It wasn't really suicide. She would never kill herself. Somebody must have murdered her. These thoughts only fueled the flame of her grief. Maybe, Yua thought, maybe she left behind a message that nobody's found yet. Tormented by feelings of guilt, she began rummaging through her sister's possessions. When she did, she found a single diary, and within it were the words, "Whose eyes are those eyes?" I knew it. Oh no. That's why she probably wrote "Whose eyes are those?" Okay, so she saw it in her sister's. Well, no, this is happening after she did that, right? Did she already know this was there? Did she already try rummaging through it before, or? I'm trying to figure out. I wonder. Whose eyes are those eyes? This was a clear cry for help from her sister. Even so, Yua had no idea what that phrase meant. With nothing to lose, she decided to search for it online. Among the results, she discovered a single essay. One that had been entered into the National Elementary School Writing Contest. Oh, she found freaking Nishijo Takami's IR2 formula, didn't she? I bet. It was a competition that had been held 6 years ago by the Ministry of Education, and the title of one of the winning essays was "Whose Eyes Are Those Eyes?" Uh-oh. Yep. The author's name was written beside the essay title. While the kanji could be read in multiple ways, the correct reading was clarified. Nishijo Takami, a 5th grade elementary schooler at the time. However, that was where the trail went cold. She had no idea what connection Nishijo Takami had with her sister's death. Interesting. Did that one say armpits? Then came an incredible coincidence. It was rather common for Yua to pass by Shoto Park on her way to school. And in that park, about twice a week, she would spot a lonesome schoolboy eating bread. As Yua observed him in his time of solitude, she somehow grew fond of seeing him. On her way to school one day, Yua happened to run into a friend of hers at the station. The two of them decided to walk together, eventually coming across the boy on the bench. Upon seeing him, her classmate spoke up.
That guy over there's a second year named Nishijo. He's in my brother's class. I hear he's one of those shut-in otaku freaks, so you should really stay away from him, Kusunoki.
Nishijo. The characters in his name would normally be read as Saijo. For it to be read as Nishijo was an anomaly. There was no way it was a mere coincidence. As soon as she could, Yua got her hands on the list of second-year Suime Academy students. And there it was. That name. Nishijo Takami. Still, the shared name would not stand on its own as decisive evidence. It, too, could be merely coincidental. So, Yua decided to put her theory to the test. Whose eyes are those eyes? She wrote those words on the blackboard and watched as he trembled in fear. That was not the end of it either. Leaked eyewitness reports from the crucifixion incident, which claimed a Suime Academy student was spotted fleeing the scene, exploded across the internet. Yua had all the evidence she needed. Nishijo Takami was a suspect, and he very well could have been the one who had murdered her sister. So this is how she jumped to all those conclusions. Kind of makes sense from her point of view, though. Oh! Wait, they said that would branch into the route in Chapter 7. But this is Chapter 8 now. Interesting. They must have wrote that incorrectly. Okay. So now I think we're here. Well, let's just see, I guess. Oh yeah, because this would be Yua, right? Because this is where they have her come in to give info, right? Yeah, okay. Initiated by Momose, a meeting was slated to be held at Frisia Credit Bureau. A meeting to which Bon was now running nearly half an hour late for. Yikes, yeah, relatable. Yeah, sorry, buddy. I get you, Bon. Me and Bon got something special. That's why we were like, we had like a soul link, you know? That's why when he died, I felt like I died as well.
Bon-chan, you're awfully late. I'm not getting any younger, you know.
Momose's angry voice hurtled into him as he entered the office. In response to this, Bon gave a minor shrug, then proceeded to walk up to the desk of Frisia's president with an amiable smile on his face. He had not brought any refreshments today, something he was beginning to believe may have been a lapse in judgment.
My, where's Suwa-chan?
He's off working on another project for the day. Ah, dude, it feels nice being able to talk as Bon again. Ah.
You sure do enjoy working youngsters to the bone.
Hey, I'm working hard too, Missy. I was up all night yesterday doing all kinds of research. Thanks to that, I've learned a thing or two about the culture surrounding high school girls these days.
I'm at a loss for words. Something you're very talented at causing.
Well, anyway, Since you called me over here, does that mean you got in touch with the kid?
Yes. She's here right now, in fact.
Nice work, Momo-chan. Oh, and while we're on the topic, she a cutie? Momose promptly smacked Ban over the head, stopping his opportunistic grin in its tracks. The sheer speed at which she had turned her wrist made the slap especially fierce.
That's enough stupidity out of your mouth for one day, you old lech.
I was just kidding. Before arriving at the building, Ban had made a private request to Momose. It entailed setting up a meeting between him and a certain person connected to the New Gen case. Rather than anything work-related, it was merely to satiate a personal curiosity. He was not planning on talking about anything related to the New Gen investigations for the time being. And due to his position, Ban could not simply meet with the person on his own, else he would risk drawing the ire of the detectives he was getting ahead of. Momose urged Ban over to a corner of the office. It was a fairly cramped space, almost all of which was already taken up by shelves packed full of files. The location was used as a reception area of sorts, and a pair of love seats had been wedged into the only place they could fit. Ban entered the section after Momose, and his eyes landed upon a lone girl sitting in one of the love seats. The girl was wearing a Suimei Academy uniform. Her head and shoulders were curved toward the ground, and she looked incredibly haggard.
Sorry to make you wait, dear.
The girl looked up in startlement upon hearing Momose. In the process, her glasses had slipped down her nose a bit, leading her to swiftly readjust them with her finger.
Oh, not at all. I don't mind.
When she saw Ban, her expression turned slightly fearful, before bowing her head in greeting a moment later. Ban felt somewhat hurt by this. He had made every attempt to look as non-threatening as possible in both bearing and appearance, but the girl's reaction made him realize that, despite his best efforts, the ferocity and intimidation particular to detectives was seeping out all the same. Looks like I've still got a bit more practicing to do, he thought with bitter amusement as he sat across from Yua. Kusunoki Yua-san, right?
Yes.
The older twin sister of the late Miya-san. I got that one right too? Yua slightly adjusted her posture, then returned a nod. The first New Gen incident, the group dive. Among the 5 high schoolers that had leapt to their deaths was a girl named Kusunoki Miya. Well, there's no need to be nervous. Don't think of it as me interrogating you. Just think of it like we're having a nice old chat. But before we get to the topic at hand, mind if I ask you something? Yua-chan, what's your opinion on your sister's passing?
Ban-chan, what on earth are you?
Whoops. Sorry about that. Comes with the territory. I sometimes forget to be considerate when I'm talking to people. But still, I am curious. I overheard people at HQ talking about it, and they said that the late Kusunoki Miya-san's family was quite strange.
Ban-chan! No, it's okay.
Before Momose could rise to her feet over Ban's insensitive comment, Yua stopped her.
I also believe something is wrong with them.
The 5 that jumped off the roof in the group dive had no reason to commit suicide. Their friends and family all insisted that. But Mia-san's family was different. Bon took his fan out from his belt and began cooling himself. I've been told that they were the only ones who weren't adamantly against the idea. That they'd accepted it just like that. In fact, they said so little, it was almost bizarre. Why do you think that is?
After Mia-chan died, both Mom and Dad snapped.
Anguish seeped from Yua's voice.
On the day we heard about Mia-chan, they cried and cried. Mom and Dad seemed absolutely heartbroken. And yet, the very next morning, for some reason I can't understand, they were smiling. Happily. It was as if they'd gone right back to how they were before Mia-chan died. It only took a single day. I was at a complete loss. I thought that maybe they were trying to forget about Mia-chan. But then, with this big smile on his face, Dad said something to me. He said, "You don't have a sister." Even when I showed them her clothes, her shoes, anything Mia-chan left behind, they completely disregarded it. They just said, "Those are just a few extras we bought for you, just in case." They ignored the news and everything the police said. It was like they were trying to completely erase Mia-chan from their memories. What you mean to say is, they were trying to make themselves think that they'd never had twins.
And that was when they told the police that they only had one kid before turning them away.
Mia-chan and I were identical twins, so while our appearances were exactly alike, my sister wasn't exactly favored by our parents. And yet, she always kept her feelings secret, and she always put me before herself.
As Yua spoke, memories from when Mia had still been alive resurfaced in her mind. First came a memory from when the two had still been in elementary school. One day, some relatives had brought the girls a single large teddy bear as a present. In contrast to the raw joy Yua displayed, Mia insisted that she did not like stuffed animals, and proceeded to not even so much as look the plush's way. Both her relatives and parents were upset with Mia for not acting like a child should. But despite Mia's protesting, Yua whispered to her that the two of them could share it, that it could be something they could both treasure. However, in response to her sister's kindness, Mia simply said that she did not want it, and that Yua could have it. About a month later, when Yua had grown tired of the teddy bear, she woke up in the night and happened to witness a certain scene. With an incredibly joyful look on her face, Mia was hugging and talking to the bear plushie. That was the first time Yua had ever seen her sister so happy. And from this, she realized that her sister's insistence about disliking stuffed animals had been a lie. Mia had been keeping her own feelings hidden, all for the sake of her older sister. The next day, Yua found a lovely drawing of a bear beneath Mia's pillow. Until her sister grew tired of the teddy bear, Mia had been hugging and sleeping with the drawing in lieu of it. Things very similar to this happened again and again over all the 18 years they had spent together. For their birthday celebrations, Yua had always blown the candles out on the cake, but when Mia was prompted to do it, she would say, "I refuse to do something so ridiculous," angering her parents. Yua advanced to the private high school Sueme Academy. Mia, meanwhile, had been misbehaving at school, deliberately scoring low on exams, and thereby moved on to a public high school. Due to the exorbitant fees, their parents would have only been able to afford sending one of them to private school. No matter how hard Yua had tried to let her sister have something, Mia would always gain the upper hand and force Yua to be prioritized. To achieve this end, she even intentionally took a dislikable attitude.
To the very end, I took advantage of Mia-chan's kindness. Before now, I only ever thought of myself. After Mia-chan passed away, I couldn't help but think that there must have been something I could have done for her. And I felt so much regret. I wish that I could have died in her place. And even after everything, to think our parents forgot that she even existed. It's all too much. It's too sad for me to take.
Yua, having now reached her limit, could no longer squeeze out any more words. She took off her glasses, pressed her fingers against the corners of her eyes, and broke down in tears. Momose sat down beside her and gently rubbed her back.
Well, it sounds like Yua-chan has been investigating the incident on her own. Also, she can find out what happened to Mia-chan.
None of that's easy. Must be really hard on her.
And in the process, she was able to identify a certain individual.
Huh? As Momose held Yua's shoulders, she turned her eyes toward Ban.
Nishijo Takumi-kun.
Ah, I see now. Stroking the stubble on his chin, Ban leaned forward from the sofa. At some point or another, I did hear about the non-stop pursuit starring Nishijo and a high school girl. A detective from another jurisdiction let me know. Might that have been you, Yua-chan? Yua nodded apologetically. Interesting. Very interesting. Would you mind telling me more? Actually, I was gonna ask if you could tell me more, but I've gotta duck out for a minute here. With a strained smile, Ban lightly bowed his head to Yua and Momose. His words had been interrupted by the cell phone in his suit pocket. He swiftly took out the phone and checked the screen. Sua's name was displayed across it. Dude, is this gonna be the time since this is Yua's route? Is she gonna save Ban? It won't matter to me though because it's not the same, but it'll make me happy. Because it's not gonna be the true ending, right? So it won't be the same as the true ending. But I just want him to live, dude. Yeah? What you need, kid?
Sir, the 7th's here.
What'd you just say? Sua's voice sounded strained. The sounds of investigators frantically scurrying about could be heard through the phone. Sua must have been at the investigation headquarters.
The 7th New Gen incident happened.
Bond's eyes opened wide, and his expression turned bitter as his teeth sank into his lip. Sensing the seriousness of the situation from his behavior, Momose and Yua watched the detective with unease.
3 Vics. Apparently they were buddies. All 3 were sliced in half at the torso. Their upper and lower halves were then swapped around, and then using synthetic fiber, well, fishing line, to be specific, the mismatched halves were sewn together. They also had wounds on their foreheads in the shape of the letters Q, D, and N.
Some kind of message?
No clue. And it doesn't end there either. The autopsy found something pretty interesting. The severed parts of the Vic's torsos weren't split by a saw, knife, or any other kind of sharp object.
Then how'd they end up in half?
Apparently, they were torn apart by some strong force.
Torn apart? Bond repeated Sua's words back to him with a low groan, then roughly scratched his head with the handle of his fan. Like a monster did it. Or like one of those wizards that are real popular nowadays.
Sir? Are you being serious? Sorry, but it doesn't matter how much of a movie buff I am. I just don't see myself agreeing with that opinion.
I'm just making a comparison, you schmuck. Never mind that, just go back to investigating. After barking that order to Sua, Bond ended the call. Interesting, so they had me watch the whole thing all over again. I wonder why. Oh, this is new. Oh, I think this is new. I don't think we've seen this, right? Yeah, we haven't seen this. Okay. All right, interesting. Here we go. By the time Yua finished up with Ban and Momose and left Frisia, the sky had long since been covered by a thick veil of darkness. During the time she had spent there, Yua had explained all the suspicions she had gathered from her investigation of Nishijo Takami. Ban was a detective, and Momose was the head of a private investigation agency. If she could get the two of them on her side, then perhaps Nishijo Takami would finally be arrested. That was what Yua had been hoping for. Nishijo Takami needed to be arrested. Yua had sympathy for the boy's painful circumstances, so she would have preferred it if he had turned himself in to the authorities. But since he had refused to do so, she had no choice but to get the police involved. That had been her plan, at any rate. But much to her surprise, Detective Ban had told her that Nishijo Takami had been removed from the list of suspects. Yua found this news absolutely unbelievable. She did not want to accept it. Why had her theory been dismissed? It was blatantly obvious that Nishijo Takami was behind New Gen. Biting down hard on her lip, Yua increased her pace as she hurried toward the station. She had to return home as quickly as possible, investigate the case from top to bottom, and find some conclusive evidence. And with that evidence, she would be able to prove her theory correct to Detective Ban. Whoa, is that who I think it is? Little Miss Kusunoki. The sudden sound of her name startled Yua, stopping her dead in her tracks. The words of her homeroom teacher came to mind. Shibuya has become all too dangerous lately. Women really shouldn't be out alone at night right now. Remembering that warning, Yua froze completely. The voice she had just heard belonged to a rather friendly-looking young man. Oh, it's Sua! Oh no, dude! What the frick? Wait, but he was at the investigation site. Oh, dude, and she'd never know. She'd never be able to tell Bond. She'd never know. Let's see. What was your first name again? Yuachan, right?
Do I know you?
She felt like she had seen him somewhere before, but at the moment, could not remember exactly where. What? You don't remember? It's me, Suamamoru. Here, check it. Making sure that only Yua could see it, the man took out his police badge and showed it to her, then quickly shoved it back inside his suit pocket. After the group dive went down, I paid your family a visit. Real nice people, all of them. We talked about all kinds of stuff, and I know for a fact you joined in too. Did he make them forget about Mia, dude? Oh no, dude, he makes me hate him even more every time I see him show up. There's no way. He freaking Men in Blacked them, dude. He just freaking pulled out a pen and flashed them and then said, "You only have one sister." Psh, and just like, dang, dude. Oh no.
My apologies. I remember now. Thank you for coming to talk with us back then.
Yua bowed her head. The incident had really shaken her to her core. So much so that she genuinely could not recall Yua's face. However, their talk back then had indeed helped Yua sort out her thoughts regarding the bizarre nature of her sister's death. And for that, she was truly grateful to him. You were with Detective Bond just now, weren't you?
Huh? Is Bond-san an acquaintance of yours?
Well, we're in the same division of the TMPD, you see. He's my senior. I swear, though, the guy can't go a day without laying into me about something. I'm sure talking to a nice young lady like yourself made him pretty happy, though. So maybe he'll give me a break today. This is just between you and me. But when he said he'd be meeting with you today, he had the creepiest smile on his face. And look, I love the guy and all, but I'm 99% sure that he had something really dirty going on in that head of his. Don't you dare talk about Bond! Don't you dare even say his name! I can't believe you would defame him like this, you freaking... Dude, I want to strangle him with my own hands. I want to stick my 3D hand into the 2D world and freaking choke him out, dude. Ooh, he's making me mad, dude. He didn't just kill him, he had to freaking slander my boy. No, dude, that makes me angry. You better take that back right now. I wanted to tag along, but I had work to do on the investigation, you see. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I need to get in touch with your folks. I thought about heading to your house directly, but if only there was a better way.
Why do you need to contact them?
Oh, nothing crazy. It's just about the group dive. We discovered that the culprit may have left something behind.
What? Really?
It was the first time Yua had heard of this. With all hesitation now evaporated, she stepped closer to Sua. Yup. The mass media recently spotted it at the scene of another incident, so it's picked up quite a bit of steam already. Can you guess what it is? You're never gonna believe this, but it was a Darth Spider helmet.
Was the group dive culprit wearing that as well?
Yup. Remember that video of the incident that popped up online? After we got back the analysis, it became clear as day. By the way, speaking of Darth Spider, there was this huge uproar in Shibuya about some Esper boy. He made the news and everything. If I remember right, his name was Nishijo Takumi, I think. Dude, what is he trying to do to Yua right now? Is he trying, because like obviously we know that he's bad, but even if we didn't know, it'd be weird because it'd be like, why are you telling her all these things about the investigation? You shouldn't be telling a civilian that, what the heck? So it's like, yo, I'm trying to figure out even what he's doing, but this is freaking weird.
You gotta wonder, why would that Nishijo guy have a Darth Spider helmet just like the guy behind the group dive did?
The moment she heard those words, dark impulses began to flood Yua's heart. She had been completely convinced. She had only begun feeling it a few moments ago, that all she needed was one piece of decisive evidence, one piece to prove herself to Ban and Momose. And now, she had it. Welp, I've got to head to Frisia now, so if you'll excuse me, miss. Yo. And with that, Sua waved goodbye and left. All by herself now, Yua stared down at the pavement, utterly paralyzed.
It was him.
Her murmurs were to no one but herself.
He did it. He did it after all. He had to be the one who did it. He did it, without a doubt. He killed my little sister. He killed Mia!